Hi, everyone. It's Valentine. Hi. And a big hello to all the Valentine lovers out there. Welcome to PsycCare, and it's always about securing lives and improving well-being. And this year, we are so blessed. We have Angela with us again to share with us on self-care. And today we'll be looking at psychological self-care. So Angie, it's 10:17 p.m. Ghana is sleeping now. What time is it in the US?
Well, it's 5:17 p.m. here. It's about dinner time, really, or just Sunday evening blues, getting ready for Monday. Like just same thing. But the great thing is that it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. So, kids are busy doing projects to share with friends and things like that. So that's great. Happy Valentine's Day to you, this is a perfect topic for self-care because self-love is important. I go by the word that says, the scripture says that love your neighbor as yourself, right? So there's nowhere that it says that you should love anybody more than yourself. So self-love is good and it's okay. So during this Valentine's Day, I just want to tell people that love yourself first, take time to love you, take time to meet your needs. And that way, when the external love comes in or it doesn't, you're still very fulfilled inside. So happy Valentine's Day, love yourself first.
Thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to join us. We are so blessed to have you today. And I know so many other people out there will be blessed by your presentation. Thank you so much, Angie.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dr. Archie. Thank you for all the work that you're also doing in Ghana and all over the world. Thank you for the causes that you're spearheading. Thank you. It's always important to give yourself out, It's always important to give to the society, to the community. And that the fact that you're doing that, it tells me that your self-care routine is in place because others, your time and energy are precious. You get to choose how you use it. All right. This is by Taylor. I have this self-care book that is in my bag all the time. And I'm big on self-care. And these are things, this is a book that somebody wrote. I like it a lot. It's by Claire Chamberlain. I don't know Claire Chamberlain, but that's why books are powerful, Dr. Archie, because this book every day is able to show me one thing about self-care. And it's precious. So it's how to live mindfully and look after yourself. It's almost like I'm promoting a book. It's actually a good one. It's not a book. It's more like quotes from other people who have traveled this self-care journey, and it just gives you how to keep going and keep along. So today, my self-care topic is going to focus on psychological self-care and emotional self-care. They're kind of tied together, right? It's kind of tied together, but they're separate. And in managing our psyche, if we don't take care of ourselves, we struggle to become very fulfilled human beings, very grounded human beings, and very loving human beings. One of the ways to practice psychological self-care is mindfulness. Mindfulness. It's important that we are mindful, daily check-ins, right? Mindfulness constitutes of different things. Some people meditate during mindfulness. I am a big journaler, right? I love to journal. And also showing gratitude. When it comes to the daily check-in, one of the things that I want you to focus on is that you have to be very careful about pausing and taking everything in. We go and go from 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10, the whole day, and then we just go to sleep. We're not taking care of our psychological. What have we gone through during the day? Who have we argued with? Who did we have a little bit of rift with, right? All these things that happen during the day, we have to take our time to check in with ourselves on a daily basis, even if it's daily for you or at the end of the week, and be able to figure out how we might be able to see the differences in our moods, in our feelings, and in our experiences. It's very important to do daily check-ins, and that's one of it. Another way is to journal. Journal is powerful. I can go on and on and on about journaling, Dr. Autry, because journaling has so much power. I'm going to go into journaling when we get into emotional. Psychological is good, but in emotional, because you're dealing with the emotions that is coming out of you, you can also journal during then. So I'll focus on the journaling then. That way our time is used properly, right? So in psychological self-care, one of the things is also getting feedback from others. Getting feedback from others is important, right? We are not an island, and we live with people, we work with people, we interact with people. You know, people would always tell you what is wrong with you. You know, some might come in love, some might come a bit rough, but checking in with people is a way that you can also help build your psychological self-care. Somebody might tell you that maybe you talk a little rough, maybe you like to argue, maybe you like to curse out. Maybe there are different things that you do that is not helping your psychological self-care. So people can tell you, especially your loved ones, your children can tell you, your spouse can tell you, all right? So that's important. But one thing that you also have to realize in psychological self-care is gratitude. Gratitude. People do not show gratitude. Yes, we all are looking we are all looking for ways to get better. We all have goals and plans, right? That we are struggling, that we are fighting to achieve. But gratitude will keep you grounded and will keep you going. If you are not grateful, your psychological self-care is not complete, right? Being grateful is having your brains wired not to focus on the negative things and to focus on the positive things, to enjoy the moments that have the moments that bring small joy and happiness. You know, we're so wired to remember everything that is not going wrong, that is going wrong, that we forget to just say thank you to someone. We forget to say how much we appreciate someone. We forget to say when we wake up that I can breathe, I'm here, I'm grateful for that. I can see, I'm grateful for that. I can touch. You know, if you've dealt with carpal tunnel before, you know it's hard. Like everything is a blessing. I can see, I can smell, I can touch. My 5 senses are working. I can stand, I can see. Psychological self-care, if you don't practice gratitude, you will not survive in your psychological self-care. You will not do good. All right. So your love life will struggle because your psychological self-care is not there. If you don't show gratitude, you're not even be grateful for your partner at this point because you would always want something different. So gratitude is important. How can you express gratitude? You can express gratitude by saying it. You can express gratitude by having a gratitude jar. You can express gratitude by being expressive, teaching yourself, your spouse, and your children. For example, it's Valentine's Day, right? A lot of women are looking on social media, killing themselves with everything else that people are giving others. You see, and we'll get there, digital detox. I haven't looked at social media today. I won't look at it today nor tomorrow. It has nothing to do with my psychological self-care today. And even though people's things do not affect me as much, I've just wired myself and learned not to be so into social media. But what I'm trying to say, the point I'm trying to get to is that social media reduces people's gratitude. People don't see what they have. You know, you want to see, you see what somebody else has. That looks more appealing. That looks more good. Dr. Yvonne, the grass always looks green on the other side. So, you know, all the things people show on social media does not move me. It's pictures that have been taken, that has been perfected. They took about 70 pictures and posted one. I know that because I do that too, right? I don't post all my pictures. I post the best. The only reason why I even stay on social media, like most people do, and if you look at the generation right now, is FOMO, is fear of missing out, right? We don't know what we're missing out. So if it wasn't fear of missing out, I wouldn't be on social media, right? Social media has its pluses and has its minuses. But I want to tell you that gratitude is very important. Showing gratitude, not pretending that everything is okay, not pretending that everything is good, but seeing everything in full range. Being grateful for today, being grateful for the present moment, being grateful for what you have. Be grateful for your children. You know, you have those children for a reason. Be grateful. Some people want some children, right? It doesn't matter what our children come with. Be grateful for your spouse. Be grateful for your partner. Be grateful for your learning new skill. Learn and develop a new skill. If you learn, I'd love that. So develop a new skill that you love or a skill that you could use, right? If you don't know how to swim, it's a life skill. I was watching a movie and I realized that when the people had to survive, they all use their life skills, which is different sports. They came up with ways to survive, right? So develop a new skill. It will help your psyche. It will help you develop your psychological self-care. Another thing is reading.
Yeah.
All right. So it's important to read. You know, they say that if you don't read, if you're educated and you don't read, you're just like, you are the same as being uneducated. Because what is the use of being reading and not knowing things that are going on, not understanding new things, not reading how the world is functioning? You know, everything has been written in a book, Dr. Otubea, and that's why we all have to aim at writing books. You know, books live over generations. Books, right? Books actually gives you people's idea and intent. Books tells you how people have done processes, how they've been able to go through the same thing you've gone through. Books are powerful. I try to read 2 books a week, right? I can't physically read the books because of my busy schedule, but I listen to audiobooks. There's a difference with physical reading and audiobooks. I have to tell you, the physical reading is better. There's something about the book from the paper into your eyes and your brain. There's a science, that's this whole science that backs that. However, if you're busy, you don't have any excuse. You can listen to books, you can read books online. And that's what I do. Read articles, right? Read journals. Read. Everything is in a book, everything. When I was telling a few friends, a few teenagers that I mentor, I was telling them that before they go to college, if they can take the book of Proverbs, right? And master every skill in it, read it. Just read the book of Proverbs to its perfection. I think that they'll be successful young adults. And they'll be successful adults. Everything is in there. It talks about laziness, right? There are books that talks about how you can break through something, how you can achieve something. Books tells us all different things that we can do. So it's important to read, Dr. Otubea. We have to stress them. Children have to love to read. You know, children not love learning if they don't like to read. Reading is where you find a lot of information. And every day, your children have to sit and read at least 30 minutes to an hour. Why? If you look at America, right, Yvonne, most children are not able to sit and study. Only the Asian population, the Indian population, or mostly the Caucasian population, most of the African American community or the Hispanic communities don't read. Why? Because the parents don't push reading at home. And also, if you look at data, those are the kids that drop out in college. You know why? Because in college, you have to read. You have to sit your butt down and read a book. You read for hours, right? So reading is also fundamental to falling in love with learning. So if your children don't like learning, maybe you fall short on reading. So you have to go back to the basics. Let them read. Your kids should be able to read, love to read so much. They like to read every book, everything, because people are writing things that they believe they want to share with the world. Are they the things that you want to teach your children? So reading is important. Some people say, oh, my child loves to read. We get it. But what is your child reading? That is my question. Is your child into journals? Is your child into Reader's Digest books? Is your child into comic? Is your child into comedy? Is your child into fiction? What is your child into? Is your child reading about things that they're not supposed to read? So we have to look into all of that. Another thing for psychological self-care, digital detox. And this will take me to Valentine's Day, right? This and emotional self-care. Digital detox, I've talked about it. Online, staying online, all right? Staying online is a problem. Staying online is a problem. You have to detox yourself digitally. You have to make it a schedule to go online at a time. I go online only at a certain time, right? I don't even remember the last time I went on Facebook. But I also want you to know that when I say digital detox, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be online at all, because some people have their businesses online, right? Some people make their money online. So as long as when you're online, you're achieving something, your time is important. It's important because psychologically, you get affected by everything that you see online. You know, just look at the research. Teenagers, the age group that is suffering from depression now, the most is 16 to 26. Why? Because the social media life is the digital. Facebook, Twitter, Kick, everywhere. There's so many social media platforms. When you and I were growing up, there were like maybe 2 or 3, MySpace, right? And a couple of others. Now children find themselves seeing all these things. And like I said, all these things that people have rehearsed and practiced and shot and edited. And then people see and people think that's people's lifestyle. You know, people see that. So if you want to have a psychological, if you want to take care of yourself psychologically, you have to say, I go on social media 30 minutes. And one of the things that I want you to remember is please don't go on social media when you wake up. And please don't go on social media before you go to sleep. It is not good for your health. Before you sleep, you're supposed to rewind. And social media is not one of them. You're not supposed to have any electronic or any gadget for about half an hour. You're supposed to just USA, calm down, reflect, get grounded, sit, breathe. You know, those are the things that you do for your psyche, for your psychological. So detox yourself from every social media. When you wake up in the morning, you do not, that is not the first thing that you do is to go on social media. People start their day with social media. I have even learned to start listening to the news in the middle of the day because in the mornings, I don't want to be affected, right? I wake up, the first thing for me, for you to manage your emotions and anxiety, people have to wake up and pray first. You have to wake up with some music in the background. I like jazz gospel music, right? So in the background, playing. Whatever music lifts you up, wakes you up, you know, if it's I Will Survive, if that's how you're feeling today, you will survive, right? Put it on. That's how you start your morning. Prayer is helpful. Prayer for me makes me hopeful, right? So that's my path. I rewind, I breathe, right? You do all of these things for your psyche. You take your time to wake up. Social media is not the place to wake up. You don't need that. Before social media, there were less psychological problems. You know, the generation 16 to 26, they are going to need more therapists, Dr. Otubea, because even at this stage, they're dealing with anxiety, they're dealing with depression, they're dealing with all type of things that they don't even understand. But if only they knew that the part of time, the part that they spend on social media is an issue. You know, you spend half of your time arguing with people you don't know on social media. It's not even a real place. Why are you sitting there fighting? It's not a real place.
Right.
It really isn't. Right, Dr. Autry? It's not.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't know what you think about this, but if you're not working on social media, if you're not doing something that is profitable, then you shouldn't be there. You really shouldn't. You're not missing out on anything. You really aren't. Dr. Autry, you have time in there.
Yeah, but I think social media would always come with its pros and cons, you know, and especially when we look at the other side of it. I mean, there are lots of negativity, but obviously the positive aspect as well. So people, I mean, there are new studies showing that people go there for support, social support, and when they are bereaved, sometimes even to gain some sense of confidence. I mean, people post pictures and other images to, you know, get the boost that they require to feed into their self-image. So I think that I always say that it's a pendulum, you know, you go here, you go there, you know, and we can't turn a blind eye on the positive aspect as well.
That's true. We can't, but we have to you're totally right. We can't turn our eyes on the positive aspect, but we're also realizing that the negative aspects far outweighs the positive aspect and how is that affecting our society, right? So that's why we're doing things like this to make people aware. Right. You know, I took a detox class. I took a class in grad school, and we all had to give up something. That's when I gave up Facebook, maybe 2019, around. I know some people gave up certain things. My teacher lost like 100 pounds. You know, we all had to give up, and how it was so difficult. And when we all sat, it was an addiction class. And when we all sat there, we realized that addiction are in different forms. Some might be addicted to drugs. Some are addicted to social media. You know, some are addicted. There are so many different things that we're all addicted to. Some are addicted to food. Some people are fat, not because they can't control it. It's an addiction. And they have, so I might be hard on you because you're addicted to drugs, but the same way drugs is affecting you, it could be affecting me negatively, social media.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So all our addictions are different. So I could also say maybe we should also purge ourselves of our addictions and be self-conscious of what our addictions are and work on them. We all have some type of addiction. Nobody can tell me that they don't have any. And the fact that you can sit there and say, I have no addiction means that you have to check it, because that means that you do have an addiction, right?
Sugar is even an addiction.
Exactly.
People just can't go off it. So
it's true. Because a lot of people just want to think about drugs when you say addiction. That's the first thing they think about.
Right.
You know, so I agree with you about the digital aspects bringing us a whole lot more than we think and than we know. All right, so some of the mental, I'm going to give some activities or some examples, but before that, I also want to talk about therapy, friends, and family. Psychologically, we do need people. Therapy is good. I always say that it's sad that in Christian settings, in the African American settings, in the Latina settings, in mostly our settings, we don't believe in therapy, right? Because we don't believe in going to sit down in front of someone and telling them our feelings, but that's not what it's only about. Yes, when you tell your feelings, it helps take some of the weight off. However, a therapist is there to help you to be able to achieve your SMART goals, right? So they give you insights and they support you in this journey. You don't just go and sit and talk. You talk, but then you come up with real plans and real ways to get better. You come up with a goal, you come up with a plan, you execute your plan, and your therapist will tell you, keep pressing, right? That's how we're going. And Dr. Otubea, since you're a therapist, I'd also like you to throw in some light on this. Why is therapy important for our psychological self-care? Because a lot of people don't believe in therapy.
Yeah, I'm happy that you mentioned this, because I think especially amongst the Black community, there's so much misperceptions around therapy. You know, there's that traditional lay view that obviously, because our society is connected, I mean, we are socialized into a connective system. There's this lay approach that allows us to walk to any uncle or auntie or even mother and say that, oh, this is what's happening to us. And that's the kind of training that we are socialized with, and we are told that that's completely okay. I mean, you could go to pastor when you have a problem, and that's fine. You can get an older person with gray hair, and in the traditional African setting, that's a symbol of wisdom, and that's okay, you know. So we've been through that process of being hardwired to think that that is okay. But Angie, you and I know from what we do that it's never been okay. It's never been okay. It's just been a change, you know. I have a friend in the UK working on mental health promotion among the Black community, and even to get participants in the Black community to wholeheartedly jump on the study is a struggle. You know, she tells me I have more than even to just restrict it to therapy, a very broad understanding of our mental health and the role of professional help, and the variation between walking to talk to a pastor and where the limit falls, and what it also means to walk into a therapist office and say that, look, I need help, you know. I had a client call me up some days ago, and he said that, look, I'm very depressed, and any counselor I've been referred to just gives me scriptures. Can you help?
You mean Bible scriptures?
Every counselor he's walked into
gives
him scriptures.
Wow.
So I think there's that conversation that
people come to me in terms of certain situations that they would like to talk to me about. I give them to an expert if I'm not an expert. Because it's important. I believe that the church does help, but the church has also in a way, made people bottle up a lot of emotions, you know? And people are not, I just want to find the right word, because the church is helpful. Right. And I don't want to make the church feel like the church is not helpful. But there's a place for everything. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give to, you know, give everyone what they deserve. And psychologically, people do have psychological issues. People have psychological problems that stem from diet.
Angie, that's what I say. So if you're praying and it's not working, you know, if you are giving Christian counseling and it's not working, just refer the person, because sometimes you keep the clients on, and by the time they are referred to a professional, they are in a very worse state.
Yeah, you've worsened the situation.
Yeah, so just refer. And we're not saying that, I mean, even in psychological counseling, there's Christian psychological counseling. Where you receive Christian psychological support, but it's very much encapsulated in psychological assumptions as well. So it's like bringing two blocks together and ensuring that you are meeting different aspects. I'd really, really provide or recommend that, you know. So I think it's just that radical approach of moving away from the traditional lay points that therapeutic care is secular. I mean, I thought psychology in a seminary, and I would always have to push into the minds of these young men and women and say, hey, it's not secular. Psychology is not secular. If you look at the Bible so well, I mean, Jesus is the ultimate therapist. Obviously, he's the ultimate therapist. So there's nothing so secular about it. And yeah, we just have to open up to learning. I think so. And with the help of the Holy Spirit, we're able to put what belongs. And you don't have to juggle in so many things and confuse people, end up confusing people and having them looking much more derailed and confused.
You're actually doing them a disservice. Crippled. And I was laughing at psychological self-care because a lot of Christians, a lot of people who say they're spiritual, you could tell that a lot of them, their psychological self-care is not done. And I'm saying that because when you work with them, you see how they're acting, right? They call themselves believers, but their actions, you could tell that they're not sound at all when it comes to psychological self-care. They're totally out of whack or out of control, you know, and there's a separation from psychological self-care and spiritual self-care. And
Angie, I'm happy you mentioned this, because I think there's a thin line, a very thin line, you know, a very thin but fine line. Because you also realize that when religious people have psychological problems, it becomes so difficult for someone to tell if this is a psychological problem, because it's always clouded in religiosity, you know. And when you get there, it becomes so difficult. It's not so much of spirituality, which you talk about, but religiosity. And it's so difficult to disseminate the two or disintegrate it without professional eyes. You really need very keen professional eyes to say that, no, this person is psychotic and they will need psychological support.
And you know, even I want to give a typical example. When a mother has her baby, right? After childbirth, most women do go to postpartum depression. Most women, especially those with less support or those who are not getting a lot of sleep. When they start showing certain behaviors, they're being blamed of all different things, and we're not zooming in on the postpartum depression. We're not zooming in on the lack of food, lack of sleep, lack of health, lack of all of that. We're not zooming in on all of that, lack of vitamins. We just want to say, you have to pray because you're changing. You have to pray because you change, but what am I praying about?
Right.
What am I praying about? Lack of wisdom, people perish, right?
Yeah.
Wisdom is the ultimate thing. Wisdom is key. People have diagnosis, or people don't even want to be diagnosed because they're Christians. You see, growing up now at my age, I realized that a lot of the adults who were growing up next to me, I'm not saying they were psycho. I'm not saying that at all. But I think in family members, I could pick different psychiatric issues, right?
Yeah.
Maybe slight, maybe little, but
Yeah.
you could pick. You
Yeah.
could pick. I could pick. Now I can tell who was depressed when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I could tell who was confused. I could tell who couldn't make life decisions. You could tell all of that. That's what we have to teach our children early. Religion is important. And the reason why our kids don't like to go to church or they hate God is because we want to push God on everything. And we're not trying to teach them different aspects of their lives.
Right.
If you're not okay in the psyche, you could be praying and not understand your psychological. You should understand what is really the problem. Then you can pray about it.
Right.
Right. And for example, the person that you said had gone to 2 people and had been led the wrong way. Okay, there's nothing wrong with showing them scriptures, but did you teach them how to journal those scriptures? How can they make that personal? How they can take the word and make it personal? How they can journal it so that they feel something? How they can write down their feelings so they know how they felt today from yesterday and what made them feel better when they journaled today or yesterday. How about gratitude? Like we have to be more wise. The church is important. I'm telling you, I grew up in the church. I do love the church, but I think that the church also has to be careful because we are raising smart, intelligent children.
Yeah.
And we are raising a generation that have to understand all these different aspects of self-care.
Right.
And we ourselves have to work on that. That's something that we have to work on, you know? And like you said, the priest is important. Family and friends are important in therapy.
Right. You
can talk to them. You can let go of all your pain. But I always say back to a therapist. Why? Because the therapist is going to help you with your goals. They are professionals that have been trained. If you're not getting that from your psychiatrist or your psychologist or your therapist, then you quit and you choose. It's like a hairdresser. Find one till you find the best.
Right.
Simple. Like find one till you find the best. So our psychological self-care is important. Professional therapy, like I kept talking about, you know, but some of the ways to practice mental self-care examples would be practicing mindfulness, like I talked about. There's so many ways of practicing mindfulness. One of the ways for me that I practice mindfulness, like I said, is my gratitude check. That's big for me. All right, so what are some of the things that you could do when you're practicing mindfulness? If you're doing the gratitude check, right? Number 1, what are you mindful about? How I move my body. Do you notice your breath? You know, how do you practice mindfulness? You sit, you're quiet in a quiet place. You might have like a light, soft music going on. That's how you're retrieving to yourself, right? Soft music, and you're mindful, you're breathing. You can feel every part of your body. When you breathe, you can even feel your pulse. You can feel your heartbeat. You're in the moment. You're breathing in and out, in and out. You're bringing your body to a state of relaxation. All right, that's some of the things you do psychologically. Did you talk with a friend today? Did you check in on a friend today? Psychologically. Did you learn something new? Did you help someone today? Did you take care of yourself today? You know, we get sometimes as parents, we get so focused on others, we don't even groom ourselves, you know? We're so overwhelmed. But mindfulness is grooming yourself, it's taking care of yourself. You know, you have to accept it when you're a little overwhelmed. You know, do you feel connected to others or you don't? Do you feel like everybody around you is not a true connection? There's something missing. You think they're your friends, but they're not, right? So those are the things that you're looking at. Do you feel focused? Do you think you can also take a break? You know, every hour I stop and I do something for me. I might breathe, kick a few boxing. I might do some squats. I might stretch. I might just walk out. I might just read a quote. It's mine. Every hour of the clock at work, I do something. I take a break. Even if it means just walking outside to get some vitamin D, 5 minutes is mindful. That is intentional living, and that helps you psychologically. Listen to music. You cannot tell me that music doesn't do it for you. Right. You know, the songs does it. I'm talking about music of all types. You know, on Friday, I had to teach my kids Black History Month, and I had the opportunity and the pleasure to teach them a few Ghanaian dances, you know the cultural dances that we used to do in school,
right.
And we had to do the song, you go on a bamba, you want to deal with the big boys. And you run, kitty, kitty, you run. When I finished, I just felt like a little child. It was so great. Why can't we just listen to music?
Yeah.
Whatever music you like, listen. Music does things for you. Look, music is so powerful. I was reading some research about music, why you should put your kids in choir, instruments. And I can't take time out of this to tell you, but I would like you as a parent to do your research. Music, instruments, singing. Singing takes away depression.
Yeah.
There's science that backs it. Singing can help you take away depression. So what I'm trying to say is that music is serious. And especially for our children, let's figure out ways to get them into some type of musical. Putting them in sports is great. But music, an instrument, singing, it's very important. Look, when I read the research on singing, I could not believe it.
Right.
Because I was contemplating on having maybe my daughter quit chorus because it was too stressful for me, the time that she had to get there. Then when I did my little bit of research, I was like, no, this is worth it. This is so worth it. All right.
Right.
That's important. Listen to music. Dancing builds self-confidence, even in adults, but especially for children. Dancing, their psychological self-care. Kids who are well-rooted in dancing and music, watch them. Just pay attention to those type of kids. Dr. Otubea, you could do your little research where you have to pick your group, your focus group. You could do that. See kids who are involved in some type of instruments or some type of music and kids who are not, and you see the differences, right? Read a book. Chicken noodle soup. Reader's Digest. There are books that will make you laugh. There are books that, whatever your genre is, there's a book for you. Please read. If you're educated and you're not reading, you are not educated. Just remember that. You're not educated. You're not flowing. Nothing is going on. Your brains are stale and you're not picking up yourself in any way because there's no new information working in your brain.
Yeah.
Listen to podcasts. There's so many things out there for our psychological, we can listen to self-podcasts. You will learn so much.
Yeah.
So much. There's so much information for everything. You learn so much from listening to self-podcasts, right? And reflect on things you're grateful for. Every day before you sleep, reflect. You see, that will even help you sleep. I'm grateful that I could do certain things today. The things that I couldn't do, I'll continue tomorrow. But what are you grateful for? Reflection. Sure. In our jobs, we're told to reflect, right? In our lives, we're supposed to reflect. Daily reflection. The only way I know that I talk to my kids a certain way is at the end of the day when I'm trying to reflect and I realize that I was a little harsh in the morning and I started their day off wrong. So how do I start the next day better? It's only through reflection. Those are ways that I came up with checklists before we leave our house because that reduces the screaming and yelling, right? So reflection will help you grow, will help you in every aspect. Okay, so some of the things that you can do to start in your psychological self-care: sleep in more. Sleep. I would challenge anybody in Ghana that before you travel outside Ghana, you should see every part of Ghana. Make it your challenge. Right. Ghana has so much. When I went to Nzule Zoo and I saw the place, like people living on stilts, village on stilts, drinking pure water. Look, nature has the ability to sustain us. Natural environment. Nature is powerful. Nature releases certain things in us, certain endorphins and certain things in us that we need to survive this life. And if you're not spending time in nature, your psyche is not completing. Your psychological self-care is not complete. And one thing, meditation. For those of you who love to pray, you pray. For those of you who love to meditate, you meditate. Right. For those of you, whatever you have to do, your psyche is not complete without it. For me, my psychological self-care is not complete without that, without my meditation and without me connecting to my spiritual source. That is, for me, is not complete. So Dr. Otubea, do you have anything to add on before?
I think you said it all. I just want to say that mindfulness focuses on living in the present. So all that techniques that you describe, you know, do you know, I mean, paying attention to your breath and all that is just to bring you into the present, you know, so that your mind or your thought processes are not flying elsewhere. Yeah. So,
and it's hard to do. Trust me, it's hard to do in the beginning, but with practice, you become great at it. It's very hard to do in the beginning. You know, we have adults sitting in meetings who can't even breathe, who can't even sit still, but it's practice. Like I always tell people, it's practice. Practice makes perfect. Practice. If you sit for 1 minute and you're agitated, do it again. Just do it again.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll give more examples. Soaking in a hot tub is taking care of your psychological need. Listening to music, I've said it. Massages, okay, it does help. And when people get massages, they have to remember that they have to drink a lot of water. People get massages and they forget that after you get a massage, your bodies are missing something and you have to replenish it. Yoga, you know, for those of you who believe in yoga, I believe in yoga only to a certain level. There's certain yoga classes that I don't believe that people should take based on what you believe, right? But yoga does help. Yoga does help. A gentle yoga class. At night and not doing anything. Journaling, I always say that. Face mask in a rom-com. Creating a relaxing pre-sleep routine. And I have to tell you that creating a relaxing sleep routine, that's one thing that works for me. Them down, you know, nothing calms them down except the dogs. If you watch Explained on Netflix and what they talk about the dogs, that's how powerful dogs are. And I know it because I live with a dog, and dogs are powerful. They can sense from afar. They can see from afar. They can understand your emotions. And petting them psychologically is worth it. Right, Troy? Come on, boo-boo. Like coming home at night, sitting with him, petting him. Troy, say hello. Petting him, loving him loving me, you know? It's all part of it. You know, it's part of it. He understands my emotions. He's so loving. You know, that's what it is. Petting a dog, taking time to pet it, making the animal feel good. You giving the love to the animal. That's not what I mean. I don't mean the love, the dog giving the animal, the love. The animal also gives you the love. If it's a cat, if it's a goat, you know. I mean, I know people, believe it or not, Dr. Otubea, in America, there's a therapy session that they go for with goats, and goats step on their backs. Goats do the massaging. So if you have sheep, maybe you should be spending time outside with your sheep.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Goats give the massage. They stand on your back. It's goat therapy. You know, when the person told me, I was like, oh my goodness, I should have brought a few goats from Ghana. You know, I'll be rich. But petting an animal is good for your psyche. Some people like lizards, right? Whatever that you love, spend time giving that thing love. You know, love them. Love them, because guess what? Those animals depend on you. And loving them is just something about it that helps your psychological, right?
Right.
So I say bye. So basically, loving your pet and loving them properly, you know?
Thank you. Thank you for sharing him with us.
You're welcome. So basically, I'm going to go to emotional self-care.
Right,
Dr. Otubea. Let's go to emotional self-care.
Right.
So emotional self-care takes me